Good, John? All right. All right, we'll open up with questions for Coach Harrell. Coach, I'll do the first one, just what your time and like has been in Boulder so far. I mean, it's been a couple weeks, but we'll get started there and then open up for questions.
Sure. It's been fun. It's some adjustments, coming from Jackson, Mississippi, originally from Miami, Florida. But the thing about, Colorado is it's a beautiful place. I look forward as far as bringing my family here in this atmosphere. I've been spending most of my time as far as going in different areas, trying to find their home, find their right school system for my 7-year-old. But as far as coming here, coming to work, seeing the things that we have in place, it's a great place and a great feeling to be a part of.
Coach Brian Howell from the Boulder Daily Camera. You've been a head coach. You've
Yes.
also been with Coach Sanders for a few years. So you having that assistant head coach role. Talk about that role a little bit and like how your past experiences are going to help you in that to be able to, kind of, run those things on the days that
Sure.
he's not around and things
Sure.
like that.
Now, we have a very unique situation, when it comes to the relationship with Coach Prime and I. When I met him 4 years ago, before he became head coach at Jackson State, we had maybe about 3 or 4 conversations. And it was basically my head coaching experience. Some of the things, Coach Prime really looks into things before he makes decisions. And so the conversation was based on some of the things that I've been through as a head coach, especially at an HBCU level. That's where most of my experience came from. So he just wanted to know some of the ins and outs as far as how to go about it, some of the things structure-wise, organization-wise, some of the things to expect. And through that conversation, we built trust. And that's how I was able to join him on his first task, his first endeavor at Jackson State. And I was able to be his guy as far as assistant head coach. So we do a lot of scheduling together from that point to now. A lot of things that I know what he likes, because Prime is almost like your wife. You got to almost know when to be around him. You got to know sometimes when he's in that mood, don't be around him. It's about spacing. It's all about timing when it comes to Coach Prime. He's a different guy, and I just know him based on being around him, trying to see how he thinks, just try to be a great assistant coach as far as having things prepared, schedule-wise, things before those things come upon on his desk and just present it to him. And he's going to go through it. Some things he likes, some things he don't. And we just work well together, what works best for the program, the team, and coaches when it comes to scheduling, which is so important in a program.
Hi, Coach. Nikki Edwards, CU Sports Report. When Coach Prime got the job to come to Colorado, did you know instantly that you wanted to follow him here, and what was your decision-making behind coming here?
Just because I've been in coaching for about 22 years. And in this business, you need someone that can take you places that you probably can't get to on your own. And I knew I had a special guy when I met Coach Prime. I knew he was going places based on some of the things that we implemented within a short span of time at Jackson State. Do I want to be a head coach again? I definitely do. But just the right situation, right timing. But when I knew that things was going to happen for Coach Prime, I just want to make sure I position myself to be ready for that opportunity. And I would not be here if it wasn't for the trust and loyalty that I gave to him along the way. Everyone know when he had to go out based on the injury, I was fortunate to be chosen to continue that path for those 4 or 5 games. And I think the way I went about it, kept things on track the way he would and just keep the chemistry of the players and the coaches, I think that went a long way. And for this level, I think that's something that he knew would be needed as far as just having good people around you. And that's what he thrives on. When you look around the staff that we have guys from different teams, different places of the world. But once we're around each other, I think he did a great job as far as selecting the coaches that we have because we get along very well. When we here, we enjoy work. When we go home and come back, it's like the same temperament that we have. And that's tough. When you can find 10 coaches, 10 grown men that can get along in this profession, it's kind of difficult. But I think he did a great job from the coordinators to the position coach. We have a great staff, and I'm just fortunate to be a part of it.
Hi, Coach. Adam Munster Tiger from 24/7 Sports. I'm curious, what's the origin of your nickname, Flea? Is that something that goes back to your playing days?
It goes back to high school. I'm from Miami, Florida. Went to Miami Northwestern. I played punt return. I was small in stature, 5'6", 150. If you back then, it was practice was like game, it was like reps, like actually hitting. Not walkthroughs. And I was told to go back to fill a punt uh, just to see how it goes. I was a sophomore in college trying to make varsity, and I fielded the punt. I scored in the first one, just like any other coach. They said, let me see it again. So I went back, and mind you, this is like live reps. In my mind, I'm running for my life, but in their mind, they got a great punt returner. So I was able to do it again, and after that second one, they said we got a Flea on our hand, and it's just been Flea since high school, college, NFL. Now it's Coach Flea.
Coach Sean Keeler at the Denver Post. You mentioned there's a lot of guys from a lot of different backgrounds
Yes.
on this staff. Somebody like Tim Brewster has been here before, knows the area, but a lot of guys are from Florida and Texas. The weather the last 2 days is not Florida and Texas. So we get to see a lot of how Coach Prime has adapted to kind of, it's a little bit of a fish out of water story. Are there some stories that have happened that have been amusing, or maybe that you could share that you haven't seen with him when you got a guy who can't find grits in Boulder, can't do whatever, and how has he adapted to basically a cold place?
I think he's still adapting. In Jackson, when I first met Coach Prime, we know when it's practice time. When he come outside, if it's raining, if it's chilly, we're not going outside, no matter what. I mean, he do not like the rain. He do not like the cold. And it's interesting because when Colorado was, somewhere in the picture as far as being a possibility, we thought, no way, no way possible because of Coach Prime. He's a Florida guy. He loves those type elements. But I think when he came here and saw the area, and while we're here, even myself, like Colorado, no way, being from Miami. But it's a different type of cold. It feels different, and we feel like we can adjust. But just everything surrounding this place, this is a sleeping giant, and we could not let weather be a factor as far as making that decision. But you best believe, when it's raining, when it's cold, we'll be inside when it comes to practice.
Hey, Coach, Tony Casolo, Buffalo's Wire. In an ideal world,
Yes.
do you see the running backs group having a bell cow, or and identifying one running back, or doing more of a running back by committee?
We'd like to find that one guy, that's an all-purpose guy. In this offense, you got to be smart. You got to think like a quarterback when it comes to protection, when it comes to understand what we call the box, things of that nature. So you got to know how to think like a quarterback. You got to be well-conditioned because, Sean, he dials it up. He goes pretty fast. So with those things, being smart, being well-conditioned, being tough, being able to compete, playing some special teams, we believe, I know a lot of coaches are going to say the same thing, but we feel like we're the toughest group, toughest position on the team. We want to have that same mindset. Do we have that guy? We got to go through spring and find out, as far as the guy on the team. Deion Smith does some great things. Hankerson's a smaller guy, but he plays tough, and we have some guys coming in. But we're going to take our time as far as evaluating guys in the spring just to find that right guy because, we spread guys out to load in that box, make the box conducive to what we're trying to do for the run game. And we got to make sure we have a guy that can take full advantage, that's going to be disciplined, get downhill in the run game. It's going to be where he need to be protection-wise, but just be that quarterback in the backfield and making the right checks and right reads.
Hey, Coach, Tyler King, Denver Gazette. Just curious, obviously no one knows HBCU football more than you from your time as a player and a coach. Just curious, how much fun was the last couple of years at Jackson State with Coach Prime? Just kind of seeing the explosion of interest and coverage in HBCU football, not just Jackson State, but the SWAC as well. And kind of what are you hoping going forward for HBCU football?
You hope they can, it's tough. I'm an HBCU guy. I played there. I coached there as an assistant. I coached as a head coach. And I coached in the MEAC, and I coached in the SWAC, Southwest Athletic Conference. It's tough. And it's Jackson State is a different entity. Coach Prime is a different person. It was just a Coach Prime, and it's not too many Coach Prime that can do the things that he's able to do, the type networking, the type things that he brings to a program. And Jackson State is probably, when it comes to attendance, they already average maybe about 20, 25,000 a game. For those two to come together, Coach Prime kind of heightened those things. He kind of put it on the map where now it was a spotlight that folks can see the culture that Jackson State already had. I mean, they got 4 Hall of Famers. So the culture was there, the tradition was there, but Coach Prime just added a different element that took it to a whole different level where now the country was able to see it. He brought hope not only to the college but to the city. He brought revenues to the city. So within those 2 years, just so much good that came into it. And for me, being that place with low resources, not able to figure out some things as far as getting things done, and see Coach Prime come in and just draw the Walmarts and the big business, even the commission, the NFL, just to help Jackson State to get it where it needs to be financially with the resources. You hope other schools can see that with the resources, with the giving back through the alum, that this can possibly be throughout the different schools, the different conference. But it takes time. It's not easy, and you got to have a right guy in place. There's only one Coach Prime. We try to tell a lot of guys that, and I think we'll realize that as we get going. He thinks differently. He gets up in the morning, and he's always thinking about making things around him better. Making sure his coaches, his players, his staff, everybody's in position to have success, and he does that on a day-to-day basis. So it was so much fun that we had at Jackson State, being able, winning does all. It creates, an environment where it helps and heighten everything by winning. And we was fortunate to win, and now coming here and winning is going to do so much for this city and for this campus.
Last one, Pat, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, kind of play devil's advocate off what you just said. Great answer there, by the way. You guys have won so much and been so successful everywhere you've been. And under Coach Prime, I'm just wondering, in football, it's going to have its ups and downs. We haven't seen the downs and how Coach Prime responds. What's he like when he faces adversity? Is he dig in tougher? What's that like?
He handles adversity. You don't want to be around him during that time is going on, I tell you that, But me being with Coach Prime, a guy's first time being a college coach, is a story that I always embedded in my head. He's a guy, when he approaches something, he approaches softly until he really have confidence in what he's doing. And once he gets it, and he runs away with it. That first year as a head coach, you could tell he was filling things out, but he was so good at mastering things, so good at managing people. So we was able to win right away. But that second year, you can see, just through that 1 year experience, the type of head coach when it comes to everything that involves the decision making, he went to a whole different level. So we had some adversities all the time at Jackson State, outside of football with the water crisis. A lot of things that we didn't have in place when it comes to the training table. He faced adversity on a day-to-day basis, but he attacked it differently. When he realized something needed to be fixed, he got people involved, and then he brought it to everyone's attention. This is what we're doing. This is how we improved it. But when it comes to the game of football, as the game is going on, things is not going well, he's very calm. He's very cool. Halftime, he gets more animated as far as with the coaches. But the way he works the sideline, and I think that goes back to being a Hall of Fame, football player and baseball player, how he was able to manage both, but have the composure to get through different situations. That's how he was on the sideline. But meetings, halftime, you see a different Coach Prime. Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Coach Boyle, if you're ready.